The views expressed on this program are those of the producers and individuals appearing on this program and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Sun Prairie Media Center staff, its video service providers, or the staff and elected officials of the City of Sun Prairie.
Hey everyone, this is Rose Daly, the City Sustainability Coordinator of Sun Prairie, and you're listening to the Sustainable Sun Prairie Podcast, the show that aspires to educate, empower, and engage our listeners in all aspects of sustainability. Whether you are a seasoned sustainability enthusiast or just beginning your sustainability journey, each episode will have something new and exciting for everyone. Let's begin the conversation for a greener community. Hey everyone, welcome back to the show and Happy New Year. It is officially 2025 and the new year is really the perfect time to set intentions for a more eco-friendly lifestyle. In today's episode, my guests and I are going to share 25 sustainable resolution ideas for 2025. Now, the ideas we'll share are meant to be easily implemented by anyone, no matter where they're at in their sustainability journey. So don't worry, we're not going to suggest doing something drastic, such as purchasing an electric vehicle or switching to a completely plant-based diet. Both of those are great things to do, but they're a little out of reach for the average person's New Year's resolutions. So instead, we'll be offering a variety of specific ideas that can be easily built into your current lifestyle, yet they will have a big positive impact on our Earth. I'm really excited to have Lorenza Zabel as my guest today. Lorenza, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Happy New Year.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me, and Happy New Year to you, too.
Thank you. Could you introduce yourself?
Yes, so I'm Lorenza Zabel. I'm the Program Director at Sustain Dane, and we are a local nonprofit serving Dane County for all the sustainability needs. So in my role as Program Director, I manage the education programs, providing all things sustainability for Dane County, and I also do one-on-one coaching for individuals and businesses and organizations that want to start their sustainability journey.
That's awesome, and you do so much great work for our community, so thank you for that. I just wanted to share with our listeners that, Lorenza, you are really the perfect candidate for this episode on sustainable resolutions. So I received the Sustain Dane newsletter where you guys highlight what you're working on. And at the bottom of the newsletter, there's always a section called Ask Lorenza, where she answers sustainability questions and offers like really practical and valuable tips related to sustainability. So when I saw that, I was like, I need to have Lorenza on the show because she'll have so many great ideas for sustainable resolutions. So just wanted to give that plug for you.
Thank you.
I'm super excited for our conversation today.
Me too.
And I thought what we could start with is just talking about what sustainable resolutions we had in 2024 and if we have any resolutions for 2025. So I can let you kick us off.
Yeah, so I try to do one of these every year with the staff at Sustain Dane. And last year, mine was to grow a little bit of my own food. I have this tiny little porch in my apartment, and I wanted to grow some tomatoes, which, you know, they turned out not so great, but not everybody can have a green thumb, and some herbs, which did turn out well, and I think I'll continue into this next year. And then this year, I'm going bigger, but actually more attainable for me. I'm going to try to aim for maybe like 6 out of 7 car-free days a week, and mostly bike and bus everywhere. The BRT is such a great resource for me getting to and from work for my commute. It really works out. And I'm just so much happier when I'm not driving. So, yeah,
less stressful, and you can like do your own thing on the bus. I love that.
Yes, totally. Yeah, I actually bussed here today.
Love that.
And yeah, it was a great experience. I knit the whole time and listened to my book on tape. It was, yeah.
That sounds wonderful. I think all of us would enjoy that.
Yeah.
All right, so for me, what I did in 2024 is I kind of took a 2-part resolution related to coffee shops. So I've noticed since I've started my job here in Sun Prairie, I have had more of a need for warm drinks, like for pick-me-ups during the day or just to treat myself. So what I wanted to start doing this year was to really focus on supporting local coffee shops. So previously I used to always just go to the big chain ones, but I really wanted to make an effort to support my local economy and local businesses. So now whenever I can, I do make sure I'm purchasing my drinks and my treats from local coffee shops. And then I also always keep a reusable mug with me. This is something that I would like not really do very seriously in the past, but starting in 24, I was like, I need to get rid of the coffee cup waste and be done with that. So now I make an effort to always have that reusable travel mug with me, whether it's in my backpack or in my car, and I will make sure I always bring that in for my drink at the local coffee shops.
And it's such a better experience to drink a lovely treat out of an actual mug instead of one of those paper cups.
It is. And all of the local coffee shops I've been to really appreciate that I'm bringing my own cup. So I think it's definitely something to try. And then for 2025, I actually don't have a resolution set yet, so I'm kind of a slacker, but I'm going to select mine today based on our discussion.
Nice. Yeah, we've got a lot of good ideas to choose from.
We do. So let's jump right in. I thought the first thing we could start with is just some like softball resolutions, easy to implement for anyone, no matter where they're at in their journey. Could you kick us off here?
Yeah, definitely. So kind of going off of the coffee cup idea, one thing that I've tried to do in the past is replace one product, maybe per month or per room in your home with a zero waste product or a lower waste option. So things like paper towels, switching them out for those, they call them unpaper towels, or switching single-use things in the bathroom like those little cotton rounds to take makeup off, or Q-tips, switching those out to the reusable ones. Whatever works for you, you know, you don't have to go for everything, but maybe one at a time, one per month.
I love that. It's super attainable. You just can pick one item and switch it out. I think the very first item I switched out was reusable Ziploc bags. I said goodbye to those for snack bags in college and switched to the washable ones, and I'm still using them today.
Nice. Yeah, I always love to hear the recommendations of things that actually really do last, because then, you're pretty much erasing the impact of those single-use ones that you used before. I really also like those kind of silicone bags that reseal, so many uses, and you can just throw them in the dishwasher.
Yeah, super handy. I think on that same line of thought, I will just add another resolution that's kind of a softball, is to really seriously switch to using reusable grocery bags. If you're not doing this already, please start doing this. I think all of us have a bunch of those reusable bags at our house because I always get them at events. But just have those with you when you go shopping so you can say goodbye to those plastic or paper bags. One tip that I've been following that has actually helped me show up at the store with the bags, which is the hardest part, is showing up with the bags, is after I'm done unpacking my groceries, I will immediately take my bags to the front door and hang them on the doorknob of the front door. And that way, the next time I walk out to my car, I will have to grab the bags and bring them with me. So
I love that.
Then I never forget to have bags with me.
Yeah, making it easier to do the thing that you want to do.
Exactly.
One thing that I do for that that has helped a lot is putting bins in my car, because I find them easier to carry up my stairs than the bags are. And then I don't take bags in the store at all. I just wheel my grocery cart out full and then load up the bins.
That's so handy. Wait, I'll have to try that sometime.
Yeah.
Another resolution I'll add, since we're talking about purchasing certain items or switching what you purchase, we could start to purchase fair trade certified items, just one or two of them. So what I started doing a couple of years ago is purchasing fair trade certified chocolate, tea, and coffee, so our caffeine foods. And this just really stemmed from my desire to support fair wages, good working conditions for farmers, and overall more equitable trading rates. And I think I really felt a pull to do this from my time living in Costa Rica, where I actually got to visit cacao farms and coffee bean farms, and I got to tour the farms and talk to the farmers and understand how this farm plays such a big role in their well-being and their financial security in their lives and for their families. So that's one thing I wanted to start doing, and I think this is pretty easy to achieve. You don't typically have to go to a special grocery store to find fair trade certified items. There's typically always one there that you can pick up. So that's another resolution that I would recommend.
Nice. Yeah, I totally agree. It's often more delicious also.
For sure.
Another kind of softball resolution that I thought of was relating to social media. So if you're someone that uses social media, you can try and kind of curate your accounts, subscribe to more climate-focused accounts, maybe some more local accounts, and unsubscribe from those things that, are really just ads in disguise, that encourage overconsumption. There's a lot of it out there on social media.
Yeah.
And if you need a recommendation of who to subscribe to, check out @SustainedAin.
Ooh, yes. Yeah, I think this is a really important one. I think social media has such a big impact on our mental health, but then also on influencing what we feel like we need to buy to fit in or to feel happy. And there are so many overconsumption accounts out there right now that are just trying to like put products on our faces. They make them look aesthetic, which I do enjoy that part, but then it's overall just trying to make us buy their products. So I think that's a great one.
Yeah, I totally get why, like the attraction to those kind of accounts.
Yeah.
Like the organizing, everything's like clean and beautiful. But you can find beauty in the more sustainable option as well.
Yeah, and at the thrift store.
Yeah,
There's lots
totally.
of beauty there.
Yeah.
I think one last softball resolution I'll add is this is something I've started doing, is to start buying condiments at the store in glass bottles instead of plastic. So the reason for this is materials have different recyclability, and we actually covered this in detail in episode 13. So click over there if you want to learn more about recycling in general. But materials like glass and metal are infinitely recyclable, whereas plastic, you can recycle it a few times and then it just becomes so weak that you no longer can form it into a new product. So if you want to make yourself a better recycler and buy products that have a higher chance of re-entering the market, you could start purchasing products that come in glass. So things that I buy in glass now are peanut butter, olive oil, all of my spices. If there's a glass bottle option, I will buy it. And that's another just super easy switch you can make when you're at the grocery store.
Yeah, I love to hear that, definitely. And if folks are interested in learning more about recycling, your episode is great. And also, I teach a class called Recycle Better. And the dates for 2025 are not announced yet, but usually we do one in Earth Month. And yeah, really fun time to get together with people that are equally as passionate about recycling as you are.
That's amazing. I didn't realize you were the leader of that class.
Yeah,
I'll have to check them out.
It's fun.
So I would like to move now into resolutions that will be the most impactful in terms of emission reductions. Maybe you're someone who's very emission focused and climate change focused. So could you fill us in on what would be the most impactful resolution to make?
Yeah, so I get this question a lot from people, like what's the biggest impact, like the one single thing I can do? A lot of people like to see the ranking of actions in by emissions impact. And I totally get it. We're busy. So if you really only have time to focus on one thing, what I say is to swap out things for plant-based options. So dairy for non-dairy options or meat for meat-free options. And it doesn't have to be all the time. I tend to use the word flexitarian for the diet that I recommend. You don't have to be super strict. You can still eat your favorites. A lot of food is like really culturally relevant to people that has meat in it. So still eat the favorites, but maybe do a meatless Monday or try taking one of your favorite recipes and making it plant-based once or twice a month.
I love that suggestion. I think oftentimes people will get overwhelmed with the idea of going vegetarian or going vegan completely, and that's not what we're asking you to do. I think if we can start with these easy switches, like you said, the meatless Mondays or swapping out some products you usually buy, like milk, coffee creamer, then that can start your journey toward incorporating more plant-based diets.
Yeah. And who knows, you might find a new favorite thing.
For sure. Sometimes the plant-based options are like much better.
Yeah.
All right, so we covered the most impactful resolution in terms of emissions, which is, of course, focusing on agriculture and our food choices, because we get to make that choice 3 times a day or more. So now I want to focus more on maybe someone who's more financially conscious or economically driven. What are some resolutions that would be good for the planet, but also our wallets?
Yeah, the classic ones here would relate to energy. So, it's winter right now, and you could start monitoring your thermostat use. You could turn it down just a few degrees when you're sleeping, or if you leave for work when you're out of the house. I'm not going to give you a number because I want you to find it for yourself. Everybody's different, but you can always bundle up. Put on some slippers, some sweaters. Everybody maybe for the holidays gets slippers in their stocking.
For sure.
And yeah, you can save money there.
Yeah, and that really adds up over time. If you're turning your thermostat down, let's say for 8 hours a night, just a few degrees, that can add up a lot over the winter season.
Definitely.
I think related to energy, One thing we can do is we can switch the use of our appliance so that we're using them in accordance with our utilities time of use rate. So I'll explain what this is. A time of use rate is an electricity billing system where the price you pay for electricity varies depending on the time of day that you use it. So typically there's lower rates during off-peak hours, and off-peak hours would be later at night and early in the morning when people aren't typically using their appliances or using a lot of energy. And then you would see higher electricity rates during peak demand hours, such as the afternoon and early evening when everyone's coming home, washing their clothes, running their dishwasher, using the oven. And honestly, the rate differences you can see between off-peak and on-peak are really significant, and they can accumulate huge savings over time. So here in Sun Prairie, we have Sun Prairie Utilities, and we're actually looking at a rate difference of over 10 cents per kilowatt hour between off-peak and on-peak. So for on-peak usage, it's 16 cents per kilowatt hour, and then for off-peak, it's only 5 cents per kilowatt hour. So if you just switch the time of day when you're running that dishwasher or doing your laundry, you can save so much money over time. And I think something else really cool to highlight here is most modern appliances actually have the option to delay the start of your dishwasher or whatever it might be to align with time of use rates. So I would say for a resolution this year, look into your utilities, see if they offer this, and then start just shifting your schedule to align with this a bit better.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that recommendation. It's something I often talk with businesses about because you can definitely save money there.
Definitely.
Well. Yeah. Another energy-related action you can take is to conduct a light bulb inventory.
Ooh.
And make a plan to switch out any of those light bulbs that you might still have as incandescent or the compact fluorescent bulbs and into LEDs, the most efficient of all of them, and can save you money over time.
I love this one because it's something fun that you could do with your kids to teach them about energy and, what does this number mean on the light bulb? Why is this one so much higher than that one? So that's a really good idea. We actually ended up doing a light bulb inventory and a full switch when I lived in Michigan in our house. And we reduced the power draw of our home's lighting by like 85% because it was like all incandescents moving to LEDs.
Wow.
That was huge for us. So this is very effective and it will save you a lot of money throughout the years.
And you can impact the way your space feels more with LEDs. I feel like you can control them more.
Yes.
The temperature of them. I much prefer LEDs.
For sure. And they've come a long way. Like you can get all the different temperatures for the room. You can do like rainbow lights if you want that. I think something else we can do is say goodbye to our dryer in the summer and instead hang dry our laundry. Nice. I don't do this right now just because I live in an apartment and I have very limited space. But when I lived in Michigan, I would hang dry my clothes every summer. And this ended up being a huge money saver. We determined that it actually would cost us about $2.80 every time we ran our dryer because they're just like huge like energy sinks. Yeah. So we were saving so much money that summer just by hang drying our clothes.
Nice. I love that. And there's something very romantic about it.
Yeah, I love it. It's like therapeutic. Yeah. You're out there like hanging your clothes. There's a nice breeze. You get to go get them later and they're all clean and they smell nice.
And it's all part of that kind of like valuing each piece a little bit more than you might if you just toss them in the dryer. They wear out faster than if you were to hang dry them.
That's another good point.
And related to fashion, fashion is a favorite subject of mine. I've sold vintage clothes for a long time and love to thrift. So I like to say reducing your overall fashion consumption by kind of limiting the number of new items you get in 2025 could be a resolution, or maybe you do a no new clothes at all. My coworker Spencer is doing that. He's doing nothing new, only thrifted or swapped, and shopping your closet is the way he put it, which I have heard before and I like. There's stuff in there that you probably haven't seen for a while, so definitely take a look.
Wow, that's awesome. I'll have to hear how that goes for Spencer because I haven't committed to that fully, like to buy nothing new for a whole year.
Yeah, he's brave. It's tough. I mean, I'm going on several years with nothing new, but I do love a thrift store.
Yeah.
And so new to me is a frequent thing for me.
For sure. We do have a whole episode on fast fashion. If you wanted more tips for how to reduce your impact, that would be episode 5. So I recommend tuning into that. I'll just add another tip related to fashion here. Is one thing that I found that works well is choosing a category of clothing and committing to thrifting that throughout the year. So this could be something like your denim. That was the first thing I did, multiple years ago. I was like, I'm only going to buy denim, whether it's jackets, jeans, shorts, skirts from the thrift store, because let's be honest, there's so much good denim at like any thrift store you walk in. Or it could be something like activewear. I feel like there's always just such a good variety at any thrift store you go to.
Yeah. And the quality of pieces that were made, 20, 30 years ago is so much higher than what you can buy new today.
It really is.
Yeah. Denim, it's really evident when you compare, an 80s denim to a 2025 pair of denim.
Yes, so crisp from the 80s.
Yeah. You can really break them in on your own.
Definitely. And yeah, you will see probably big cost savings here too when you're looking at your bank account. I know for me, at least when I started thrifting more, than I saw my clothing costs go way down. One last thing to mention in the cost saving and good for the planet category is to invest in a kilowatt meter. So a kilowatt meter is a device that will show you how much energy an individual appliance in your home is using. So typically we can't see what individual appliances are using. We only get one electricity bill for the whole house. But this special device, what you do is you plug your appliance or device into the kilowatt meter, then you plug that into the wall, and that actually will track the energy use and the power draw throughout, multiple weeks or however long you leave it plugged in. So that's going to really help just to educate yourself on what's using the most energy in your home. Maybe you just got a new air purifier or like a new bread maker and or even like a flat iron, and you're just curious how much energy does this use. You can find that out by using a kilowatt meter. And then something else they can show you is how much phantom energy is being consumed by your appliances when you leave them plugged in, which is something a lot of us don't think about. But growing up, my mom was like, unplug everything when you're not using it. And I didn't understand why. But now I know why, because they actually draw a significant amount of energy over time when they're just plugged in.
Yeah, and you can get, if you don't want to go around and unplug things, you can get those smart power strips that will do it for you.
For sure. Yeah, those are really handy as well. And kilowatt meters cost about $20 or $30, but also a lot of libraries now will have them for checkout in their library of things. So I would say check there first before you buy a new one.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, I think those are some great money-saving options. I now want to move into some more unique resolutions that people might not have thought of. So offline, you were telling me some really interesting ideas, things I hadn't thought of that we can do to reduce our impact. So would you like to share some of those with the listeners?
Yeah, so first up, something that I like to promote is to check in on your investments. So where is your money being invested? A lot of people will just put money towards their 401k at their organization without fully understanding what their company is investing that money in. And there's a great tool called Invest Your Values where you can just type in the fund that you're invested in, and it'll tell you kind of like a scorecard and why it got that score. And you can just, see where your money's going. And you might find that you would want to advocate to your employer to divest from certain funds and invest in sustainable funds.
Ooh, I love this one. That's something I'm going to have to do, is check out where my money's being invested.
Yeah. And long-term, sustainability, time and again, it's proven it's a sound investment. And then something else I like to talk about that's slightly less glamorous than investments is water. So it's a serious issue here in our area, water softeners, because we use a lot of salt in them, and you can make them more efficient. And I would have no idea where to start with this, but in some water utilities will provide a free online water softener analysis. I know that the sewage district that serves a lot of this area will do that, has that online, and it can just determine if you're using the correct amount of salt to soften your water at home.
Okay. Yeah, that's a really good tip. I'll have to check out ours as well in the apartment building.
Yeah. It takes like 5 minutes and super informative.
I think one other that I'll add to the unique resolutions is to look into if your utility offers a green energy program. So if you would like to offset all of your home's electricity consumption with renewables and clean energy, you can pay, it's usually just a couple extra dollars a month, and then all of your energy will be sourced from renewables, which I think is such a good deal. Like if you maybe don't have the space to put up solar, or maybe your yard is too shaded, you can still invest in clean energy for your home through your utilities program. So I would say look into that this new year as well.
Definitely. And on the subject of offsets, there's so much there. Like you can offset your holiday travel, There's lots of organizations that could provide that for you, local and global. You can offset, your entire carbon footprint if you want. You could calculate that, and then, there's lots of different offset programs that you could participate in.
Yeah, that's really cool. I know right before this we were talking about flights and offsetting those emissions, which often adds so much to our footprints.
Yeah.
All right, so now let's talk about resolutions for our yard, our lawn, our garden. Let's say we love being in the outdoors. We spend a lot of time in our yards in the summer. What are some things we can do to reduce our impact through that space?
Yeah, great question. So where I like to start with this question is with your soil. So getting your soil tested can help tell you what it might be lacking and help you start to figure out what fertilizer it might need. You can forego fertilizer. That's one choice. That does work for some people. But if you really love having a lush lawn, which is actually great for soaking up the rain and reducing runoff, you might need to fertilize it, but you won't know until you test it. So there's testing kits that you can get like at a hardware store, but also you can get them from UW Extension. And start there. Figure out what your soil might be lacking.
And this one's so valuable because whenever I'm looking at buying plants or like seed packets, there's always all the zones on the back. And there's just so many different like soils and geologies available depending on where you live. I think it's so important to understand what is under the surface, what is in your yard, and then what does it need to thrive. And then you can know exactly what to apply to your yard to be successful.
Yeah, definitely. And like minimize the amount of fertilizer you use to make a really lush, beautiful lawn.
Definitely. I think on that note, we also can focus on the plants that we purchase for maybe our garden or for our yard. If possible, I would recommend investing in some native plants this year for your bloomscape or even your ground cover if you wanted to switch out a portion of your yard for maybe some native grasses. These have a ton of benefits for not only the local pollinators, but also these native plants and native grasses are often low mow and drought resistant, so you won't have to apply as much water or mow your lawn as often. So it's like a win-win-win all around. And I'll just plug that we did cover the step-by-step process for developing a pollinator garden in episodes 7 and 8. So tune back to those if you want more details on this specific tip.
Nice, yeah. And they've got those long root systems again, so they soak up a lot of water and reduce the runoff into our local waterways.
They help stabilize the soil. There's so many benefits.
I can't wait. Beautiful.
I know, and I can't wait till I have a yard and I can actually do all this stuff.
Yeah, me too. Me too. One day.
One more thing to add to lawns is if we do water our lawn, I would recommend trying to change the time of day when you water to the morning. In the morning, in the summer, we often have cooler temperatures and calmer winds, and this really allows water to soak into the soil and reach the grass instead of evaporating.
Yeah, and you can even, extra credit, you can catch water on your property with a rain barrel and then use that water to water your lawn.
That is a great tip. So to close out here, I kind of thought we could end with resolutions that will have a ripple effect. So a lot of these are changes you can make in your own life, and maybe you'll inspire a neighbor to do the same, or a friend will see you with a new sustainable product, they'll ask you about it. But what are some ways that we can make a resolution that can really impact a lot of other people in our lives?
Yeah, we love this term at Sustain Dane, ripple effect. It can be hard to feel like you have an impact as an individual, but when you're doing things in community, it really increases what you can do. So something that I talk a lot about at work is starting a green team or a sustainability committee at your job. So it doesn't matter what industry you're in, any organization from a bookstore to a tool manufacturer would benefit from having a green team or sustainability committee. And you can start really small, advocate for really small changes, and that kind of snowballs. This is what we see at Sustain Dane into kind of a full-blown sustainability plan or a full, an LED retrofit for your entire building at work. All those big things start with just some small things like putting up a sign by the light switch to remind people to turn it off when not in use,
This is such a great idea, and I feel like sustainability can really just become contagious in the workplace. You can get more people on board, more people interested. And like you said, you can start extremely small. For example, when I first came to Sun Prairie, I asked our IT department if we could set our printers to default to double-sided printing because they were currently doing single. And that's so easy. It's a click of a button for the IT department, and you're like using probably 50% less paper than you used to be using.
Yeah, love that.
Or like asking them to set up an extra recycling bin for like ink cartridges or like other miscellaneous products.
Yes, I saw that plastic film recycling bin when I went into the library today. Yeah, good job, you guys, having that out there.
Yeah, that's been up for about 8 months now, and we're trying to collect 1,000 pounds of plastic film in 1 year so we can be eligible for a prize, and the prize is like a free bench made out of recycled plastic.
I love that, incentivizing the action. That's so great.
For sure.
Also, other ripple effect resolutions that we thought of, have more conversations about climate change. You know, this is something that you could start even today. Research shows that in Dane County and Wisconsin, we are not really having enough of these conversations. And the best way to go about doing this is to kind of frame the conversation around what is meaningful to you. Like, why are you listening to this episode? You know, why are you listening to this Sustainable Sun Prairie program? Why does sustainability matter to you? And people will be more moved by that than, you know, data or the latest news story. So just connecting with your coworkers, friends, loved ones about the things that you're passionate about.
And I think also, even if people don't reciprocate the conversation when you're like talking about something new you've done for sustainability or sustainability in general, you've planted a seed though, and they're going to be thinking about that.
Yeah. It's like positive peer pressure. That's the way I see it. You know, your neighbor's doing it and you get like, oh, I'm curious about that rain barrel you got over there.
Right. Know? That's so true. And we're like more likely to trust our neighbors than like a politician. So have those conversations for sure.
Yeah. Totally.
All right, so we've actually covered at this point all 25 resolutions, which is crazy. So hopefully we've given listeners a lot of great ideas for ways to reduce their impact this year. And I know it's January 7th, but you can start at any time. Don't feel like you missed the start date. I haven't started mine yet, so no worries there. Lorenza, I know that every year you and the Sustain Dane team, you guys set resolutions together.
Yeah.
Can you kind of walk us through the best way to actually achieve success with resolutions?
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's like any habit where setting like a SMART goal, you know, making it attainable, making it measurable. I like it when my goal has like a number associated with it. That's why I'm aiming for about 6 days out of 7 going car free. Yeah, and time bound, you know, it's 2025. And then also I recommend keeping each other accountable. Studies show that publicly making a commitment to something like this will really strengthen the chances that you'll actually fulfill your promise. We make our resolutions to each other, and then we post it in our newsletter. We do check-ins throughout the year with each of the staff people, and we're cheering each other on. You know, no one's there kind of finger wagging. It's more like cheering each other on. We all want success for each other, so that really helps us actually achieve these goals. And then something else we like to do at Sustain Dane, sometimes during programs we have people write their commitments out on a postcard and we'll mail them to them later in the year. So you could do that to yourself, you know, hide a little note in your calendar to remind yourself like 6 months down the line, 2 months down the line, depending on your goal. Just having those regular check-ins can be helpful to remind yourself to kind of get back on the wagon. And then finally, making the resolution, you kind of already brought this up, but making the resolution easier than the less sustainable choice. So what was it? It was your grocery bags. Yeah, so keeping them in a spot that's actually easier to get than it would be to just do the convenient thing with the plastic bags at the store. Or it's equivalent to like putting your gym bag in your car, you know?
Definitely.
To make sure you go to the gym, but for sustainability.
Yeah. These are all great. Wow.
Thank
okay,
you.
So now I see why Sustain Dane is so successful with their resolutions. You guys are great. But I agree, like commit to these with a friend or a family member, someone who can be your cheerleader. You can cheer them on. You can support each other when you're having like a rough day and you just want to go out and like do the easier option. If it's not sustainable, you can have someone to talk to about that. So I love that. I also love the public commitments because you don't want to be like, well, I failed when people ask you about it. So
and it's okay.
That's a good one.
It's okay. You know, we don't like to shame. It's all, cheerleading.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, this has been such a great conversation. I think, so I said at the beginning I hadn't set my 2025 resolution. I think what I'm going to do this year is I'm going to really take a look at my investments. I love that one.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I do have another one. I forgot that I made this with a coworker, my coworker Sam and I. This wasn't on our list, but connecting to nature really helps underline why we do the work that we do, why I care about sustainability. So for one of my coworkers, we have a weekly check-in together, and we've committed to taking the check-in on the phone on a walk.
Wow.
Yeah, so just to get outside more, we spend a lot of time in front of our computers like many people do with our jobs. So getting some sunshine and having that like connection to nature strengthen our commitment to our goals.
I love that. All right. Well, thank you so much for the conversation today. I wanted to share with the listeners that we will have the list of the 25 resolutions we talked about in the show notes. So we'll have a nice PDF. It'll be linked there for you. So as always, we would love to hear what you're doing for your resolution this year. So feel free to drop us a message at sunprairiepodcast@cityofsunprairie.com.
If people want to share their resolution on social media, I would love it if they tagged Sustain Dane or at Sustain_Dane on Instagram. I'd love to see them. Yeah, send us a photo.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time today, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks. Bye. Thank you for listening to Sustainable Sun Prairie with your host, Rose Daly. I hope you enjoyed this episode and uncovered something new about sustainability. As always, you can subscribe to our podcast and listen anytime on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and you can listen live on 103.5 FM The Sun, WLSP-LP, and on demand on the Sun Prairie Media Center app. For links and resources mentioned in this episode, as well as our contact info, please visit the show notes. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.